So greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us from across the world. Welcome to our solutions session, From Potential to Progress, Empowering Every Generation for Social Development in Asia and Africa. Asia's growth and innovation continue to inspire us, yet widening inequalities and rapidly aging population remind us that progress must be inclusive. Across Africa, youthful energy holds immense promise, yet it's also the fastest aging continent in the world, bringing both opportunities and challenges. Today's session will show how inclusion and human rights drive equitable development. We will spotlight grassroots solutions that strengthen social inclusion, address climate impact, eradicate poverty, and advance health. By bringing lived experience into development, we create pathways to a fair, inclusive, and sustainable future for all ages, younger and older. Our program today has 5 parts. We'll start with our keynote speakers from Asia and Africa. 4 organizational leaders will be sharing their social development challenge that they're tackling and their solutions. Partners and beneficiaries speaking about the impact of the solution. Then a question and answer segment, and closing reflections. We kindly request that you keep your video off and audio mute. This will help us record the session in a way that spotlights our presenters. After the event, we'll be creating a short video using clips from today's presentation. So having the presenter be front and center will be really helpful. The video is to celebrate our 4 organizations and invite others to share their social development solutions. Please share your comment in the chat. They will be included in our summary report to the Social Development Summit Secretariat, and the summary will be shared with those who signed up for the Age Noble newsletter during the Zoom registration. Also, please add your questions to the Q&A box anytime. We'll have about 20 minutes for this segment of our program. In addition to thanking our session participants for joining us today, I would like to thank in advance our keynote speakers and our presenters for sharing their insights, and our Soon Tech, Isaac Carasso Ortez of Pasadena Network, who's helping us navigate everything behind the scenes. At this time, we'd like to hear from our keynote speakers. First, I would like to invite to the floor our Asia keynote speaker, Sabine Henning. Sabine is the Chief of Sustainable Demographic Transition Section, Social Development Division of the UN ESCAP in Bangkok, Thailand. Sabine has worked on population matters for almost 30 years, focusing on migration, population aging, youth, intergenerational relations, as well as population and development interaction. She has extensive experience in working with governments and CSOs and the United Nations headquarters and regional office. Sabine, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I hope you can hear me, and I would like to thank the organizers for inviting you and ESCAP to be part of this important meeting. Greetings from Doha. Our last day is beginning, and we are very happy to see that there's another session today on population aging. Clearly, the topic has featured throughout the summit. And of course, we hope to take that forward as we're going back and continuing to work with all of you on this very important issue. If I may please ask for my PowerPoint to be shown, I will provide a brief overview of population aging trends in Asia and the Pacific. Next slide, please. So we know that there are 3 megatrends that are affecting societies. It's, as you can see in the slide, urbanization, inequalities, climate change, emerging frontier technologies, and demographic shifts, in particular population aging. And the presentation will focus on the demographic shifts. Of course, these megatrends are interconnected. So we should not talk about demographic shifts without looking at climate change or digitalization and vice versa. So they're interconnected. And they're shaping the world we live in today, but also the world of the future. Next slide, please. Now, when we talk about demographic shifts and trends in Asia Pacific, we have to recognize that there have been profound changes in the population composition, but also overall growth in the region. In fact, as you can see in the slide, the population it currently stands at about 4.8 billion people. It has increased significantly, but you also see, and this is a blue line going across, that population growth itself has been slowing down. And this trend is expected to continue in the future. We project that the population Asia Pacific as a whole will peak by around 2050 at about 5.1 billion people, and from there on start declining. Now, we all know that these are regional trends, and at national levels or subnational levels, we actually observe already that population decline is a reality. In fact, in some countries in Asia Pacific, population decline is happening, and it is a concern to some countries, but we also like to look at this as in a positive way and see it as an opportunity. But I'll come to that later. Next slide, please. Of course, driving this change is a change in the fertility rate over time. It peaked in the 1960s in Asia Pacific with about 6 children or live births per woman, and has declined ever since. Currently, at the regional level, it stands at 1.8 live births per woman. This is below replacement level, which stands at 2.1. At the same time, life expectancy at birth has increased, as you can see, from about 49 years in the 1960s to about 75 years today. So it is a very positive trajectory, and something actually we should celebrate and consider as is something, to celebrate and look towards the future in that regard. Next slide, please. Closely linked then, of course, are the demographic shifts, the population age structure shifts. And here you see that the youth population, in fact, and the children has already reached its peak. Working population is continuing to increase, will peak around 2030. And the aging population, 65 plus, here marked in the orange line, as you can see, has been growing and is projected to continue to grow. So this is a very important fact, that the number, but also the share of the older population is projected to grow. In fact, Asia Pacific, compared to many other regions of the world, is aging very rapidly. The transition from an aging to an age society in several countries of the region is taking less than 20 years. And this is different from what happened in the global north. And it also has implications for policymakers, because they will have less time to adjust and adapt policies to address the challenges and opportunities of population aging. In fact, in Asia Pacific, we often say that countries are growing old before they're growing rich. So that is a dilemma, and that's what we're trying to address collectively. Next slide, please. At the same time, we see here, as you nicely show in the slide, that the transition from an aged or an aging to an age society is very fast. We see that, for example, the number of countries in the 1990s that were aging stood at 7, and it's currently at 23 and projected to increase further. In addition, it's not only the aging, but it's also the super age, which you can see by 2050 is projected to stand at 19. 19 countries having 21% and above of older populations. Next slide, please. This is just the total increase in the numbers for Asia Pacific, growing from 516 million to about 1 billion by 2050. So a very positive upward trajectory. Next slide, please. Now, this is an interesting slide because it shows you the number of age cohorts or the increase in the age cohorts we are observing and have been observing over time. What you see here is the share of the population by age group over time. And the message is that never before in history have so many age cohorts coexisted at the same time. You see still children, of course, you see young people, you see working age people, and many more older persons living longer And so there is a possibility, there is an opportunity for more people of different age cohorts living together. And I think our focus should be on strengthening intergenerational relations, solidarity in that regard. It's an opportunity we see. Young and old coming together, working together, living together, learning from each other. That's a positive outlook. And I think this is a message we would like to convey to everyone. So don't only just think about this as a challenge, but as a positive, as an opportunity. Next slide, please. Now, intergenerational relations find very different expressions, of course, how people live together, how they work together. And in all of these, I think we see opportunities that young and old can come together and look towards the future and try to build this society for all ages. That's what we're advocating for. Next slide, please. Now, I just want to say a few more things about the situation of older persons in Asia Pacific. And this relates in this particular slide to the labor force participation. Often in many countries in the region, we still have statutory retirement ages that are relatively low, meaning people are forced off the formal labor market if they're in the formal labor market and retiring at relatively young ages. For them, not having social protection in many cases, that means they need to find work outside the home in more often the informal sector. Which of course doesn't provide protection. The wages are very low, and so clearly something we're not advocating for. And this is a fact in the region, as you can see, among women and older men, that they continue to have to work in the informal sector to make a living. And of course, this against the backdrop of living longer, and then often faced with, of course, healthcare costs that are increasing. And women in particular, since they're also living longer and have experienced inequalities throughout their life, are particularly affected by their having to seek work outside the home and struggling to make a living. Next slide, please. This slide is talking about the social protection, which I already referred to. And as you can see throughout the region, less than half of the labor force is covered by some form of social protection. This, of course, would then also affect any kind of pension or healthcare coverages. And so people are falling behind in that regard, in particular older persons. Next slide, please. Now, this is another aspect I would like to raise. And I said in the beginning, there are different megatrends. This slide talks about the rapid digitalization, which we, of course, observe in Asia Pacific. Asia Pacific is at the forefront in this regard. Here is a proxy for that in terms of looking at access to the internet. And as you can see in the slide, that there's a clear digital divide. Despite all the progress that has been made in this area, not everyone is benefiting from this. And in particular, when you look at this by age group, you see that older persons are falling behind. They do not have access to the internet in this particular case. Now, this relates to lack of infrastructure, but it also relates to lack of digital skills. Being familiar with this. So this is really an area where we need to work with you and governments to allow older persons to have that access, because as we know, more and more is moving in the direction of digital healthcare delivery services, social inclusion. All of this takes place in this digital realm, and it's an area of work that we need to pursue further. Next slide, please. Another aspect, of course, is, as I showed earlier, are the living arrangements of older persons. And of course, compared to other regions of the world, Asia Pacific has a strong preference for people to live in families, to get old, and families to age in place, to age at home. And this is something very positive. However, the reality is that people, as I showed earlier, having fewer children, people are moving away, and people are living more often alone, including in old age. And this trend is rising, it's increasing. And so just continuing to rely on the family is often not, cannot be done because the family isn't there and people are left alone. And so this is something we have to work towards to improve. At the same time, of course, we also need to keep in mind that often the caregiving falls on women. And they have to balance work outside the home with caregiving, and not having caregivers, not having some system in place that provide the care, community-based care or other type of care is a problem. And women looking after children, looking after grandchildren, but also looking after older family members is a struggle. and they're dropping out of the labor force. So this is kind of a vicious circle we need to address, and it's all related. So living arrangement, aging go together, and something we need to address in the future. Now, let me say at the very end a few about, next slide, please, a few things about where all this sits in terms of global debates we're having or regional debates on population aging. This slide shows the global guiding documents and regional guiding documents on population aging. You know, you're very familiar. There has been a long history of this, and it's building up and it's complementing it, you know, these different activities. Just want to highlight, for example, that we, of course, had MIPA adopted in 2002. We had the 2030 agenda adopted in 2015. We're now gearing up towards the fifth review and appraisal of MIPA, which will take place at the regional level in 2027 and at the global level in 2028. Next year will be the year when Asia Pacific, ESCAP, will launch its survey with member states on assessing MIPA, and we'll start our stakeholder outreach. So we will be talking to you, we'll come to you in terms of starting this activity, in terms of preparing for MIPA review at the regional level in 2027. And this is what you see in the slide. Of course, there are many other activities. I know there are discussions on a convention. We're here in Doha. There are many other developments that are complementing each other. And this is very positive, and we look forward to contributing to these activities in the future. Next slide, please. Now, I wanted to say a few words about the human rights aspect, and this relates to the last outcome document for the fourth review and appraisal of MIPA in Asia Pacific, just to highlight where human rights featured. And of course, it's aging and dignity and human rights aspect of population aging are important, and they go together, and we need to fight ageism and age discrimination. And some of this was picked up by member states in 2022 when they adopted the outcome document from the last fourth review and appraisal in Asia Pacific. What you see here is our references to general human rights of older person. You see references to older persons and development, and also intergenerational solidarity. So I really encourage you to look at this document and see what member states agreed upon in 2022 on the human rights aspect of population aging in Asia Pacific. Next slide, please. This slide continues, and it talks about some other aspects where human rights feature, for example, in the area of health, in the area of supportive environments, and of course, discrimination, neglect, and violence. So this is where Asia Pacific felt human rights really matter. Next slide, please. Just a reminder at the very end that this is the schedule for the regional review, gearing up to 2027 intergovernmental meeting, next year national reviews, but also national consultation, stakeholder consultation, and then of course a global review in 2028. Next slide, please. Just to say that based on the last review, we have at ESCAP developed this database of policies and action plans on population aging. There is a link in the slide. And we encourage you to look at this. We are compiling all this evidence from countries across the region. And we're also looking for good practices. What are countries doing? What can they show off? What can other countries learn from each other? So all of this is compiled in the database. It's an ongoing effort of ESCAP to put more information into this. It's a very valuable resource, and we hope you will be able to use it for your own work. But of course, we're using it also for capacity building of member states, those countries that want to revise or develop new policies and action plans. And next slide, please. Just a summary. We have about 35 countries represented in our database on different aspects. And so it's a valuable resource, and we're looking forward also for more input from you. So please take a look and help us make this as complete as possible. With that, I want to conclude, and I thank you again for giving us the opportunity to make a presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sabine, for a very informative presentation. It covers a vast range of perspectives relative to population aging in Asia and its impact and its opportunities around social development progress, human rights in Asia in general. So thank you so much for that. We'll be inviting you back for the Q&A portion of our discussion. Thank you. We would like to now invite our Africa keynote speaker, Rosalind Kimbuha. Rosalind is the Healthy Aging Advisor and Regional Advisor for Africa at HelpAge International. With over 20 years of experience in international development, Rosalind has worked across health, social protection, movement building, emergencies, rights, and policy, influencing in a multicultural and interdisciplinary context. She has collaborated with governments, the African Union, civil society organizations, and grassroots actors to advance sustainable development goals, the data revolution, and human rights of older people. Rosalind, the floor is yours. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. I work for HelpAge International. It's a global network working from the grassroots to the global level, uniting more than 200 members across 200 countries to advance the rights and well-being and inclusion of our older person. And this meeting is very important because it emphasizes what had already been done 30 years ago in the first summit. The call to put people at the center of development still remains an urgent as ever. And this summit renews our commitment to social contract grounded on equality, inclusion, and justice. Across Africa, the populations are young, yet aging faster than anywhere else in the world. By 2050, Africa's older population will triple to over 220 million. And over 80% of all our older persons will be living in low and middle income countries, with Africa and Asia carrying the largest share. This means that aging is not a northern issue. It's actually a development and equity priority. To harness this transformation, we must adopt a life course approach that links youth aspiration and older people's experience, empowering every generation. Africa has made progress, expanding social protection programs and strengthening policy frameworks and increasing visibility of age and care in national agenda. Yet, challenges remain: persistent inequality, fragile and under-resourced systems, and the compounding crisis of climate change, conflict, humanitarian emergencies, and food security remains a constant problem to us. These overlapping shocks erode development gains, displace millions, and deepen poverty. They expose the fragility of our health, care, and social protection systems, and the urgent need to an integrated and resilient social policy agenda that works for people of all ages is really needed. Our older women and persons with disability remain among those most left behind. Gender equality and disability inclusion must be central, recognizing care as both an economic sector and a human right. We must value, invest in, and redistribute care, recognizing unpaid and underpaid labor that sustains households and community. Africa now has a good mix of foundational commitments that provide strong basis for action. We have the AU Protocol for the Rights of Older People. We have the AU Policy Framework and Action for Aging, revised in 2022. We have a common position for long-term care system, adapted in 2016. We have the AU Social Protection and Social Security, adapted in 2022. We also have the WHO Africa framework for the decade of healthy aging 2021. Together, these frameworks advance Agenda 2016 vision of a prosperous, inclusive, people-driven Africa where rights, dignity, and solidarity guide social policy. Implementation remains uneven, resourcing, particularly hampered by poor resourcing, capacity, coordination, and data systems. We must strengthen national and local systems, ensuring that the social policy, particularly UHC, social protection and care reforms are fit for aging world. Budgets and social investments must reflect the demographic realities, particularly financing and participation as an essential public good. Inclusive social policy should link health, employment, housing, education, and care to deliver well-being across the life course. At HelpAge, we see this through our network every day, how locally led and intergenerational approaches drive real progress. Community-based health and care and livelihood initiatives show that healthy aging means not only maintaining functional ability, but ensuring access to care, support when independence declines. Intergenerational solidarity is both our heritage and our future. When our older people are included, families and communities thrive. Across Africa and Asia, South collaboration is generating practical solution from community-based and long-term care models to inclusive social protection and intergenerational livelihoods. These models of context-driven innovations show that social development works best when grounded in local realities and collective learning. As this summit closes, we must look ahead to a defining moment, the April 2025 UN Human Rights Council resolution to begin drafting a UN Convention for the Rights of Older Persons. Together with Africa regional protocols, this marks recognizing that aging, care, and social inclusion are rights issue, not welfare concern. Our collective task is now clear, that we must embed aging, care, disability, inclusion, and intergenerational equality in the renewed social development agenda. Investment in capacity, financing, and reforms fit for aging population is needed, and we must ensure data, accountability, meaningful participation guide every step forward. Social development must mean dignity across generation. This journey from potential to progress begins when a child, every youth, every person with disability, and every older person can thrive in societies that recognize care, equity, inclusion as the foundation of sustainable development. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Roslyn. Wow, that's a lot of great insights in terms of an overview on the African region, looking at it not only from policy lens, but intergenerational, intersectionality, human rights. So very, very informative. And we look forward to inviting you back as well for our Q&A segment. Now, when I think back to my conversations with our solution presenting organizations, a few common qualities stand out in my mind in terms of how they advance social development in their work. So first is that they have a clear mission that's grounded in dignity, inclusion, and human rights. Second, they have the ability to learn, refine, and adapt to the changing realities that surround them. And third, they have a strong collaborative mindset that drives shared action and impact. They are a powerhouse, diverse in skills, grounded in experience, and united by the goal of a more just, sustainable, and inclusive world. It's really a pleasure and privilege to have them with us today, sharing their experiences and their vision. In this next segment, we'll be hearing from the leaders of the 4 organizations. Each one of the leaders will share the social development challenge or opportunity that they're tackling, their solution, and the key learnings. Once again, the full bios are actually in the program that Isaac has posted. And as well, I see that, thank you, some of our leaders have actually posted their contact information there too. So I think we will need that, because I don't think 4 minutes will do it justice in terms of the sharing of the time. So once again, please put any comments into the chat box, and any questions that you have, please start putting them into the Q&A box so that we can ask our presenters. First, now I invite to the floor AC Anesh, the founder of Association of Ghanaia's Elders. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Margaret. And thank you for hosting this. At AGE, the Association of Ghana's Elders, we identified 3 key challenges, amongst many that we've opted to focus on. One is a very weak policy framework where aging is concerned in Ghana. And so our interventions go in that direction. And then also the rapidly changing family structures and the dynamics. And we see families becoming more nuclear, the support from the extended family, not being as it was, and the state basically leaving families to it and not intervening. So that is a major challenge that leads to all sorts of benign neglect, social isolation, etc. And then there's also, we work in silos. There are different organizations working in the interest of older persons, but unfortunately, we're working, in silos, and we don't have cohesion and coherence. So these are 3 levels at which we address the challenges that we face. And I'll just mention a couple of things that we've done to address these. So first, at the macro level, because we're looking at a weak policy framework, one of the things we've done, especially this year, is to actually engage civil society, working with the Center for Democratic Development here in Ghana, to rally senior citizens and harvest their views and their recommendations. What are their challenges? We put that in a document and we submitted it to the Constitution Review Committee, which is currently reviewing Ghana's constitution so that it can be improved. And we're also working with other organizations on an aging bill that is about 15 years, languishing in Parliament and waiting to be passed so that institutions can actually take it and activate, their work with it. So policy advocacy is key, for us, and it's been very rewarding seeing how that's going. And then at the meso organizational level, we had a seniorpreneurs forum on July 1st, and this was to have senior citizens who are actively contributing to the economy. And so producing content, we have a blogger amongst them, producing services, training younger people. This is something that we're looking to do even more of, so that we showcase senior citizens who are living dignified lives in the formal economy and the informal economy as well. We have a discount program that we launched, which has been really useful for senior citizens in our network, so that they can actually call each other, and through our discount program, they're able to talk to others, on the network at discounted rates. And that helps a lot when it comes to breaking the isolation. And one of the things we did this year in particular, which has been very impactful, is rallying other organizations who work in the interest of older persons. And we call this network NOTE. This is a network of organizations for the elderly. And during the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, for example, we came together, we worked with other people, and we had the same message, We shared platforms on social media, TV, radio, and we used the opportunity to share, the same advocacy message. And it really gave us a lot of what's the word, strength, in that unity. We have an intergenerational friendship program we're launching, and we're generally spending our time engaging senior citizens, even at a very personal level, with calls and visits, etc. And these address some of the challenges that we've identified. And we can talk more about this in the next segment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aisha. Now I invite to the floor Prakash Tyagi, Executive Director of Gravis India.
Thank you, Margaret, and greetings to everyone attending this summit in person or virtually. It's great to be in this panel, which is discussing a very important topic. So it's a great pleasure to share the perspectives from India. I represent and lead a non-governmental organization in India by the name of Gravis. Gravis works for integrated community development with a stronger focus on the rural and remote regions of the country. And we have great presence and focus on in the arid zones of the country, such as the Thar Desert of India. The Thar Desert of India is the most densely populated desert ecosystem in the whole world. And a large number of rural communities are living in this area under great food and water shortages impacted by droughts, severe poverty, and poor health conditions. And out of all people living in this area, older people are the most impacted, are the most vulnerable. So therefore, they are an important target group for our work, for our approach. We have also been a part of the Helpage International Global Network, which works on aging issues, as Rosaline described. And we have also been in the regional network on aging in the Asia and Pacific, also known as ALAP. In the leadership of older people and with the support of intergenerational learning exchanges, we are addressing a social development challenge in this particular area, which is basically droughts and climate change. And the solution that we are offering is led by the communities. And again, older people are the main leaders of the program that we are doing. They are the beneficiaries as well as the key contributors. Our drought mitigation model, our climate action model comprises three important components. The first one is around rainwater harvesting. It's an area with minimum rainfall, but it's important to capture every drops that occurs in the form of rain. And therefore, we are doing a lot of work in collecting traditional technologies, traditional knowledge around rainwater harvesting, and strengthening those technologies by adding modern scientific inputs into the structures, into the technologies, to make these water harvesting structures more viable, more cost-effective, and more sustainable. A second component of our drought mitigation model is around dry land farming. As a result of droughts and chronic rainfall failures, the crop productions are very, very low or minimal, causing food and nutrition scarcity, low incomes, poor health conditions. And again, with the help of traditional technologies, as well as with experimentations in areas of rainwater management for farming, seed development, organic farming, we are trying to boost agricultural and horticultural productions in the desert, which means more food and more nutrition and more incomes for the local communities. A third and last component of our approach is around training and capacity building. The work that we are doing on rainwater harvesting and on dry land farming must be owned by the communities, must be sustainable, should be in a position to be scaled up, and therefore it's extremely important to instill and strengthen the local knowledge, local ownership of the programs. We organize a wide range of activities that would train and would impart capacities in the local communities, again, led by the older people, but also younger generations are also a part of the training and capacity building activities as we look at the community as a whole. In doing all of this, the intergenerational solidarity, intergenerational learning exchanges has been an extremely important medium for us. We believe that by bringing different generations together, there is a flow of knowledge, exchange, knowledge transfer, and collective creation can take place when it comes to designing and implementation of programs at the community levels. With our holistic approach, we are covering a population of 2.5 million people, and we hope to do more coverage of population moving forward. In end, I would just like to emphasize on the fact that what we do in the context of drought mitigation and climate change adaptation is very environmental friendly. What we do is regenerate and preserve the natural resources and not extract and deplete them from the nature. Our work is a great learning for us, and I hope it is a learning for the other parts of the world as well, where drought-prone conditions prevail. I will take a pause here in the interest of time and will be happy to respond to any questions in the later part of the section. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prakash. I now invite to the floor Upa Shalababa, who's the Executive Director of Youth Build South Africa.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you very much for the opportunity for us as Youth Build South Africa to share our program, talk about our program in this important summit. It is a pleasure for us to make a presentation here on the Second World Summit for Social Development. South Africa remains one of the most unequal societies in the world, with poverty and unemployment deeply entrenched along historical, social and economic lines. Youth unemployment in particular is alarmingly high, with more than half of young people unable to find work and sustainable livelihoods. This inequality is not just about income, but also about access to quality education, skills development, and opportunities for advancement. Young people often face barriers such as limited networks, lack of experience, and poor access to resources, which keep them trapped in cycles of poverty and exclusion. In this context, initiatives like Youth Build, which is the program that I work for, play a critical role by equipping young people with skills, confidence, and purpose, and by positioning them as key actors in driving inclusion and also poverty eradication. Youth Build South Africa's mission is to inspire and support these young people, particularly focusing on young people who are not in education, employment, or training to become patriotic citizens with positive attitudes. We prepare young people for sustainable opportunities that transform their lives. We also work with these young people to advance their leadership, learning, and livelihood aspirations in various communities where we do our work. Youth Build South Africa is part of a global network of more than 280 youth build programs that provide high quality education, relevant programming, which focuses on preparation and placement of young people to opportunities to ensure that young people end up in livelihood or economic opportunities that are sustainable. Our passion is around young people. We work with young people to prepare them for these productive livelihoods. But at the same time, we think that it is key to prepare young people for leadership roles as well in their own communities. When we talk about poverty eradication, it is easy to think of it as a single goal, something that we reach once people find a job or complete training. But at Youth Build, we understand that poverty is not just a movement in time, it's a lifelong journey shaped by opportunities, choices, challenges that begin long before a young person joins our program and continue along after they graduate from our program. That is why we believe in a life course approach to poverty eradication. This approach recognizes that young people's experience of poverty change as they move through different stages of life, from childhood to youth, adulthood, and old age. And it calls on us to design interventions that support young people throughout that journey. So Youth Build then steps in at one of the most critical moments, the transition from adolescence to adulthood, when many young people risk falling deeper into poverty because of interrupted schooling, unemployment, and social exclusion. Through our programs, we give young people a second chance, which is very important. This is a second chance to complete their education, a chance to gain technical or vocational and entrepreneurial skills, and most importantly, a chance to believe in themselves. So, which is very important. Young people cannot advance or develop without that self-belief. Our goal is not just to help young people find jobs, it is to help them to build lifelong stability. By combining training, mentorship, and community service, we equip young people with confidence and capacity to be self-reliant adults, active citizens, and leaders of change in their own communities. This we do through our community asset-based development programs where young people build very important community assets like, schools, community halls, or, refurbishments of important infrastructure in communities. The life course approach also reminds us that the impact doesn't stop with one individual. When a Youth Build graduate finds meaningful work, supports their family, and contributes to their community, they are breaking the intergenerational cycles of poverty, which is very important. Their children grow up with better opportunities and their communities grow stronger. That is the real legacy of the work that we are doing. So how to truly sustain this impact, we need to think long term, and we need to think about how we can continue to support young people that graduate from our programs, particularly the alumni that have gone through, or young people that have gone through our program, forming them into groups of alumni and ensuring that there is a continuous network of engagement to ensure that young people are able to start businesses and have access to finance. And so therefore we do this by partnering with government, private sector, and other civil society movements to ensure that these young people are actually properly supported as beneficiaries of the programs that Youth Build does. At Youth Build, we believe, as I conclude, at Youth Build, we believe poverty eradication, it's not just about lifting people out of poverty today, it is about empowering them to stay out of poverty for life and to lift others as they rise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ofa. We now invite to the floor Sanju Papa-Maga, who is the CEO of Aging Nepal. The floor is yours, Sanju.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Bangkok. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Margaret, and thank you for organizing this event. So Aging Nepal is a helpage network member of Alliance on Longevity and Asia Pacific, members of Global Alliance for the Rights of Older People and Asian Roundtable on Social Protection. So we are trying to incorporate the aging issues in all agenda, in all cross-cutting issues. So today I'm going to talk about a project that we Aging Nepal conducted to promote healthy aging in Nepal. So it is a community-based initiative. In my country, family members are traditionally the primary givers, like in other countries from Asia and Africa, and older people remain highly dependent on them. Even when they do not have major health issues, the older people, many older people require reminders to take medicine, drink water, bath, or maintain personal hygiene. When they fall sick and visit health facilities, they often do not understand the doctor's instruction. They tend to redirect any health-related questions to their sons or daughter-in-law. This practice still exists today. But migration of young people and the shift from joint to nuclear family structures have left many older persons in vulnerable health conditions. Older people who once felt secure, believing that their children, especially sons, would care for them in old age are now facing risk of health complication and economic insecurity. In this context, Aging Nepal, with support from Helpage International, initiated a pioneering project titled Strengthening the Capacity of Older People and Their Concerned Stakeholders for Healthy and Active Aging. Under the project, 92 champions from 14 senior citizen daycare centers were trained. These daycare centers are community spaces where older people gather and spend their day in social activities. Champions of different age groups were trained on self-care practices, including nutrition, hygiene, physical activity, mental well-being, disease prevention, elder abuse, and more. Each trained champions then shared their learning with their respective groups. As each group includes over 50 older people, approximately 800 older persons benefited from the program. Previously, most activities in these centers were limited to sitting, chatting, and religious practice. Now, older people exercise together, discuss healthy diets, monitor water intake, and exchange health tips as a part of their daily routine. Additionally, female health community volunteers and community nurses were trained for the first time on the specific health needs of older people. This and also on healthy aging. These trained health workers now conduct multi-health screening in the daycare centers. They monitor blood pressure, weight, blood sugar levels, provide health counseling, maintain health records, and refer cases to health posts when needed. In Nepal, regular health checkup among older people are uncommon. They typically seek medical care only after symptoms appear. This initiative has increased awareness and encouraged preventive health behavior. Many older people, now more conscious of their health, have been able to identify and manage health conditions early, preventing them from becoming severe. So to ensure the continuity beyond the project period that is going to finish this November, we advocated with local government bodies. We conducted orientation session on aging issues for the local government. We convinced them, follow up with older person FCSBs and community nurses. As a result, all participating wards have now committed to continue the monthly health screening program using their own resource. So some wards have started the implementation, and Aging Nepal is currently providing brief technical facilitation during this transition phase. So this is the success story of Aging Nepal for healthy aging. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Back to you, Margaret.
Thank you so much, Sanju. And thank you to all four of our solutions leaders for sharing their determination and creativity in solving some very big social development challenges that not only has local applicability, but very much in different parts of our world. Our minds right now are probably filled with ideas and possibilities after hearing from you. So once again, please pop any comments into the comment box and any questions that you have in the Q&A box so that when we bring our four solutions leader back on in a little while, that we will have an opportunity to chat some more. Next, now we'll hear from the voices of impact from these organizations, individuals who are beneficiaries and partners of the solutions that was just shared. The speakers will join us in a mix of in-person presentation as well as video. So first, I would like to invite to the floor Isaac Glover, who is both a beneficiary and a partner of the Association of Ghana's Elders. Isaac?
Yeah, thank you, Margaret. And thank you so much for the platform, especially for the thought of organizing this program. We the elders, we prefer to be called senior citizens, and we are so grateful that you are spending lots of resources trying to educate us. Now, like you said, I work with Age Ghana, and since joining Age, there's been a lot of education. Age is structured in a way that you can do a lot of learning. There are different professionals within the Age setup, so you are able to learn. You are able first to identify your niche, and then you are able to learn from your peers. And since joining, we have had a lot of engagements. There's policy formulation. We have met with the think tanks. We have met with our peers, and a lot of impacting has gone on. We've learned, we celebrated the awareness of elderly abuse. We celebrated the International Day of the Older Persons. And aside of these two, like my boss, Dr. AC Ansan said, Age is part of a network of NGOs in the related field. And so within the umbrella of the network, there's a monthly education. And since joining Age, I've been able to I've gone through that training. So, for example, we have been told how to eliminate risk in your environment, the role of caregivers, and all that. So, I mean, a lot of things that we have learned, and we have been told also about the silver economy, which is very key, because silver economy refers to that economy around the senior citizens, and for silver economy, it affords us the opportunity to still impact society. We are retired, but we still have some vim in us, and so Age provides us the platform to impact, and that draws into the mentorship program, because we think that with the skills that we still have, we can nurture the young people. Now we have, when we are growing up, we didn't know what was Gen Z, Gen Y, and all that, but now we have it. So it's a reality. We have to live with it, and so I like the fact that also that Age is promoting a Novi program. Novi program is linking the senior citizens with the young people, so that we don't become scrappy in our homes. So we are grateful. We are grateful. I'm personally grateful to Age for providing that knowledge. And through this program too, I've come to realize that there are other care centers where you can, for example, if you have a grandma who is about 90 years, there's a place you can go and leave the grandma to socialize with her peers, and then go for the grandma later in the day. We so far we have 3 of them. We have one in different parts of Accra, and then one outside. We have the vibrant aging, we have the comfy relief, and then we have a liver. All these are centers where you can go, like the Nepal rep said, it's a daycare center for the elderly, and it's been very impactful. So that is what I have learned, and since joining Age. I'm not too old and I'm not too young. I'm still learning, and it will be exciting to learn more. But there's something that's in Ghana. There's a proverb that we always say, that the young man or the young person can stand on the tree, but he cannot see far. But the elderly person will sit down and yet see far, meaning that we come with a whole lot of knowledge that you can propel you ahead. So we shouldn't discard and say that you are retired, so stay home. No, we resist that. And I want to point out that also, that we, the senior citizens, we are not looking for stipends. We are not saying we are vulnerable, so you should pamper us. No, we don't want that. We want recognition, and we want to be integrated into the society, because we still have a lot of veins in us. So well, we have our shortcomings. Technology is fighting with us, or we are fighting with technology. And then we have mobility issues too. So this is my conclusion, and I take this platform to thank you also for putting resources together for this summit to educate us. And we are grateful. We are so grateful for investing in our care, in our upbringing, in our development. When you have us, you have rapid development. If you don't have us, you still have the development. But with us, the knowledge is there, and you can have rapid development. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Isaac, for your really heartfelt sharing. It was very lovely. Thank you. I now invite to the floor Manatosh Bagaroa of Gravis, India. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Margaret. Good morning, everybody. As we all know about the Thar Desert, is the one of the most water-scarce region in the India. Guiding by the Gandhian ideology, Gravis strongly believe in building self-reliant community and strengthening community-based organization like village development committee, village older people association, intergenerational learning group, and SG self-help group also. Our major focus has been reviving traditional rainwater harvesting technique, both at household level and community level through innovative approaches. These systems not only provide easily access of the water at people's doorstep, but also bring wide range of the social benefits also. They help reduce women physically and mentally stress, increasing girls enrollment, promoting better sanitation practices, and reduce waterborne diseases through safe water availability. Beyond drinking water need, Gravis also promoting farm level water harvesting through indigenous system like khadi, arid horticulture units, improving food security, food and nutrition security, and resilience in the Thar Desert community. Women, youth, and elderly are the center of our initiative. In climate change adaptation efforts, they play the role of catalyst for the changing. Today, Gravis work over 2,000 villages, reaching around 2.5 million people across the Thar Desert and other part of the India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manatosh, for the additional information. It's really helpful to know, very inspiring to know the vast array of work that Gravis does in terms of how the elders benefits and the population in general benefit. At this time, we'll get ready for a couple of videos that Isaac will share for us. The first one is from Ashley Dickon of Youth Build South Africa, who were part of the programs that Opa was mentioning earlier. And then the second video is actually from Aging Nepal, where Indra Padu and Bimula Gautam talks about the wellness program that Sanji was mentioning. So we'll go to the two videos and then we'll come back. So I'll pass the floor to you.
Hi, my name is Ashley Deacon, and I am proud to have been part of the Youth Build and Saint-Gobain Academy program, where I had the opportunity to grow, learn, and develop both personally and professionally. I joined the program as part of a civil construction learnership, where I spent a year learning practical building skills and understanding the construction industry from the ground up. Thereafter, I continued with the sealing and partitioning program for another year with Saint-Gobain Youth Build Academy. During this time, I not only improved my technical skills, but also learned teamwork, leadership, and discipline. The academy didn't just teach me construction. They helped me build confidence and develop as a professional. I also had the opportunity to earn a marketing management certificate through the program, which gave me the business and communication skills to work with people and promote what I believe in. One of the proudest moments was being recognized as Student of the Year. It really showed me how far I've come and what is possible when you stay focused. Youth Build truly makes a difference in the lives of young people like me, They don't just teach skills, they open doors to real career opportunities and empower us to create better futures for ourselves and our communities. They believe in the potential of the youth, and that belief changes lives. I am so grateful for the opportunity and support I've received through this program. Thank you, Youth Build South Africa, for helping me grow into the person I am today, ready to build, lead, and inspire others in my community.
मेरो म्याम हात 2-3 दिन बेसरी दुखेको थियो मैले चाहिँ अब कहाँ जाने होला कुन डाक्टरलाई देखाउने होला भनेको यहाँ जब यो संस्थामा आएर एक्सरसाइज गरे मलाई निको भयो अब कहाँ दुखेको भन्ने थाहा पनि भएन 6 दिनमा मलाई जस्ताको जस्तै पहिलाको जस्तो नदुख्ने भयो म्याम त्यही भएर मलाई एक्सरसाइज असाध्यै मन पर्छ मैले घरमा पनि गर्छु यहाँ सिकेर यहाँ नसिक्दासम्म मैले खाली हस्पिटल मात्रै धाउँथे यहाँ आइसकेपछि मलाई हस्पिटल जानु परेन यस्तो त एक्सरसाइज त सधैँ भइराकोस् म्याम हामी बुढाबुढीलाई
सुगर प्रेसर जाँचियो जाँचेपछि म भोलिदेखि नआउनु भन्नुभयो हस्पिटल गएँ हस्पिटलमा जाँदाखेरि 1-1.5 महिना तपाईँको पालो त 1-1.5 महिना पछि आउँछ भन्नुभयो र म अब त्यहाँ उपचार गर्न नभ्याउने भएँ भनेर म इन्डिया दिल्ली गएँ यो दिल्लीबाट यहाँदेखि अपरेसन यो खाना पचाउने प्रणालीको अपरेसन गरेर आएँ र अब मलाई यहीँबाट रोग आएछ भन्ने थाहा भयो भन्ने कुरा सुरुवात भयो
Thank you to our Voices of Impact for sharing your powerful experiences. Hearing directly from individuals at the heart of these solutions reminds us why our work is important and why it matters. Your stories bring dignity, inclusion, and equality to life, showing that social development succeeds when people are truly partners in the change. You ground our shared vision in what is real and possible. Thank you so much. We'll now go to the Q&A segment of our program. I know that our session today is supposed to end in 5 minutes, but we would like to continue. And I welcome those of us who can stay on to stay on another 15 minutes further than the original time, so that we can go through some Q&As with our panelists and presenters. So could we bring everybody who is with us today, who have spoke, the presenters as well as the speakers onto the screen? Thank you so much. As I looked at the Q&A box, we currently don't have a question, but I think it's because we're also, we're just kind of like digesting and thinking in our mind all the wonderful information that was shared. So I think I would like to pose maybe 2 questions to our group here. The first question has to do with human rights, because it was mentioned. And the second is really around intergenerational, because it was also emphasized a lot. So the first question on human rights is really around how does human rights relate to social development, in your view or your experience? And how does the work that you do in social development, the work that you're doing now, the projects, the initiative, help us advance human rights for older people and younger people? So maybe if I can ask Rosalind to help us kick off, if that's okay. And then after that, anyone who would just like to share from our panel of speakers, please just put up your hand, and then Isaac will help unmute and have you share with us. So Rosalind?
Thank you, Margaret. Just to emphasize that, the rights of our older people it's not a new demand for us. Yes, these are already things that have been embedded in legal and policy frameworks. So what now we need is to really build the political will that is needed and finance, so that we can make these rights a reality. Just zeroing into, to your question is that why rights really matter in social development is because the inclusion of older people in social development is not an act of charity. It's a matter of human rights and social justice, what we've been talking about, and around making sure that we promote equity, dignity, autonomy, and participation in society. Every one of us, regardless of our age, gender, or ability. So there's need for really us not to see any one of us, including our older people, as a beneficiary of development or social development, but as an active right holder and contributor to development. And what that means in practice is that then that we must realize these rights through social development, and our government and partners must then ensure that social protection, especially access to pension, income security, and essential services are available, and to ensure that, for instance, the health and care is age inclusive, and particularly targeting where the political will has already been galvanized around universal health coverage to ensure that it's age inclusive. And what we mean by age inclusive is it is taking care of the health and health needs and rights for older person. And we know that our older people have chronic illnesses, meaning that then we need to ensure that the full continuum of care is included in the UHC reforms and package, by ensuring that we invest more on in terms of health promotion, screening, and that has been related in what we have seen our presenters talk about, ensure that there is early diagnostic and usually the medicine, and ensuring that then the rehabilitation, long-term care, palliative care, and end-of-life care is available for our older person. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to jump in and share their thoughts on this topic? Prakash?
I can add a couple of words on the intergenerational aspects that you talked about. I think intergenerational relationships are extremely important. And since we are talking about Asia and Africa primarily in today's meeting, the two continents where conventionally, traditionally, the bonds used to be strong between different generations. But the bonds have been weakening as a result of multiple factors, as a result of displaced migration, as a result of lack of employment opportunities in the areas where these generations used to live, as a result of digital divide. So there are definitely more distances happening in these generations. And by bringing these generations together, I think a lot can be done for population aging, for society, and for social development. Intergenerational bonds and linkages are one of the most underutilized resources that we have in the communities. And therefore, I think it's extremely important to strengthen these bonds, these synergies, not only for knowledge building, which is important in the context of natural resource management, farming, for example, water conservation, climate change adaptation, but also for the social purposes, also for the solidarity part of it, because it's about health as well, it's about well-being as well. As we talk about the life course approach towards population aging, healthy aging, optimal development, I think the intergenerational learning approaches, the linkages will continue to play a greater role, and especially considering the climate change which is waiting us in the future. I think that's a very, very important element of the work that we are doing in different parts of the world.
Thank you, Prakash. And I see, Sabine, you have your hand up. Thank you. Oh, sorry, are you able to unmute or at your end?
Yes, I just did. I think you can hear me now.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. No, I fully agree with the two colleagues before me. So I just want to add to this, and I want to inform, if you not already know this, that there's quite a bit of discussion and movement towards a convention on older persons. And I think this is something we need to pay attention to. Next year, through OHCHR, there will be a process put in place where member states and of course also stakeholders will have opportunities to start more concretely think about it and start drafting text. Of course, it might take some time, but I think this is a great opportunity, especially for stakeholders to come together and take advantage of this opportunity. Of course, we're in the hands of member states on this, but this is about human rights, and human rights and development go hand in hand. And that was in response to your question. We need to have inclusive development, and you can only have inclusive development if you have human rights fully respected and promoted. So having a convention we see as something that complements MIPA, for example, or the Decade of Healthy Aging, or the 2030 Agenda. It's a complementary instrument, but we're in the hands of member states, and they need to take this forward. But we can influence the process, and I think the regional commissions and that the organization I represent would be supportive, of any kind of requests that might come our way to support this movement towards a convention. So please include us, and please stay tuned from your particular angles. Thank you, and engage. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Sabine, for providing that update and highlighting the opportunity around the convention. It's really great and we know that SGAP has been a great partner all along, even during the last third global review of MIPA, stating that, having a convention will strengthen the standards, will help support the standards that we have in policy. So for sure, and Garrett will be reaching out to you for sure. And thank you, Prakash, for your deepening our understanding around intergenerational when we have these initiatives, how it creates those bonds. So it's really helpful to know that. So I do see a question from Alejandro also, which is on a different topic. So maybe I'll just hear from Sanju first, and then I'll go to Alejandro's question. So Sanju, do you mind unmuting and sharing your thoughts?
Thank you, Margaret. Anyway, I really appreciate whatever Prakash, Sabine, and Rosalind said. Yeah, it is very important to have a UN convention, and the role of intergenerational solidarity in this era is very important. We cannot deny for that. And I understand that UN while we are drafting convention, we have to be very careful about the intergenerational part in that convention, because whatever we have done so far is we are just focusing older people. And I think we are ignoring young generation. Now we have to mainstream older people and younger generation in the same line so that they can work together. And we have to motivate both generation, not one generation, in every aspect. So UN FPA is also developing kind of playbook that I was participated. I hope they will bring something very new playbook that we can work together in across the world. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sanju, for the additional insight on that topic. So any of our other panelists would like to comment about intergenerational solidarity or social integration? Okay, Ashley, please go ahead.
All right. So I think there's an opportunity that we can't afford to miss. And one of the things that I've learned, whenever I put younger people and older people together to work on anything, the older person immediately assumes the role of advisor, does less listening and a lot more advising. And so some of our work also needs to involve retraining senior citizens and helping them to also allow themselves to get into the world of the young person and understand what they are going through, because the seasons and times and the context in which they exist are totally different. And that's one of the things that for me can be very transformational. Engage young people to learn how to leverage the wisdom of the older generation, and engage the older generation on how to engage, the young ones that they engage with now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that insight and sharing that learning, that it's mutual, right, between the generations. We'll turn to Opa next, and then what we'll do is then we'll kind of wrap up this discussion about intergeneration and human rights, and we'll go on to Alejandro's question in the Q&A box. Opa.
Thank you so much. I think the question of bridging the gap between the different generations for me is one of those very important topics that we need to tackle very carefully as well, looking at the kind of development that we see in the world today. Development says you focus on either young people and you provide services to the older generation, and we forget about where the wisdom sits, right? And it is important that in our developmental approaches, that we actually look at a way in which that can actually advocate for intergenerational development patterns that seek to ensure that learning comes down from the elderly to the young people, but ensure that young people have the skills to be able to implement the knowledge that has come from the elder people. Because one of the things that we forget about is that, when you talk about human capital, there is strength in ensuring that, society comes together in sharing common goals in terms of development. And then often development doesn't happen in silos, but it happens at a point where we are able to share common goals in terms of what we seek and what we would like to achieve.
Yes, that's so true. If we can see what's common, I think, and that's when I hear you say that, I see that a lot in the work that the solutions you were saying, like everybody was presenting and talking about in the presentation, like how can we come together in a common way or common vision, and that's how we can have that intergenerational solidarity be built. Now I turn to this question that Alejandro has for us. How should our economic model evolve to respond to demographic realities, an aging population and a reduced active workforce, while maintaining growth and inclusion? So, anybody would like to help us get started? Any of the panelists have thoughts, comments?
I made my comment, after that question in the chat box.
Oh,
but
did
I
you?
think
Okay.
This is why the conversation around the silver economy is important, because you have people living longer, they're healthier, and they get worried about having to exit the workforce. But then these are seniors who, through, let's say, impact investing, we can actually invest in seniors who set up ventures, whether it's a nonprofit venture, a for-profit venture, and then actually engage young people who are unemployed and looking for work, so that if you're an organization and you're able to build a model around, supporting seniors to design initiatives that involve younger people, that's one way. And how we do this is just partnership. Sometimes we need to barter. I may not have the financial capacity, but another organization may have the network, another one may have the funding, another one may have, different resources we can pool so that we're sustainable, over time. And but it's a good question. I don't think there's a single magic bullet, but then we need to be creative in coming up with pushing for governments to provide tax breaks for those of us doing work in this area, for example. So it might be a nonprofit, you may have a for-profit wing, but looking for incentives to make it easier to do what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other of our panelists?
Just to contribute in terms of what we are talking about, development, the right to development involves, justifies any one of us, regardless of our age, to continue contributing to the society, be it in terms of just unpaid or paid work. So it would mean that we need maybe another conversation around how can we ensure that also the young generation understand that the older people may need to continue doing what they value most, so that they can mutually agree how that play can look like, so that be it in terms of mentorship, as you are saying, and all that. But coming again on the other side, because of the functional decline of people as they age, that is also a place where many sources of jobs can be created, but this has not, especially in Africa and Asia, this has not been thought through, because this is also where our young people can get a lot of job opportunity. For instance, the curriculum change in universities because of the care things, and that can also provide a mechanism where we can create a lot of jobs. Just that is from my social and what I see.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Rosalind. So I think at this point, it really seems like there is even the question that Alejandro raised, we can have a webinar just all around that. And we see a comment from Omokaro that says, where the thrust and focus of the government is on meeting mainly the challenges of the youth, the intergenerational approach and programs are an effective strategy for older persons inclusion. Thank you so much for that, So I think at this juncture, we are quite over our time limit. So what I want to do is just do a quick 1 minute or less reflections from our panelists here, kind of your reflections, your last call to action, and then I'll just do a quick closing after that. So I will start on this. Why don't we start at the top of the screen with Prakash, and then over to Sanju, and then kind of Sabine, and kind of go that way. Could we do that? So just unmute and then go right ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. Thanks for all the presentations. I think it was a very enriching event. Population aging and demographic changes that we are seeing is a reality, and we need to be prepared to more of this in the near future as we move forward. We are also seeing that the traditional communities, the local communities living in different parts of the world are severely impacted by climate change, which is occurring at the same time. So therefore, the knowledge of older people, their roles in the communities, in the societies are going to be more important moving forward. And I think the time has come for us to have a greater recognition for older people as leaders, as resource, as contributors, rather than just beneficiaries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the Margaret. Thank you for Prakash sir for this amazing call to action. Anyway, so yes, older people, we always put older people in one basket because I don't know, older people, that's it. But older people has different age group. There are active older people, there are passive older people, there are healthy older people, there are unhealthy. There are so many kinds of older people, but we are not giving them opportunity. We are not giving them chance to retain, recruit, and retrain and recruit systems. They are not in that system. So I would like to request all the organizations and all that older people are the resource. They are the productive age group, but they need support of youth. So they have to go hand in hand. This effort that I shared, the effort which I said earlier, when community cause comes together, change is possible. Let us continue this journey. We encourage family, local leaders, health workers, and community volunteers to stand with older people, support them to stay active, healthy, and stay connected. Every action matters. Together, we can build a community where aging is not a burden, but a meaningful, respected, and celebrated stage of life. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sanju. Sabine.
Thank you very much. I would like to call on all of you to engage with us in the regional commissions. It's wonderful to have two regions in this call, Africa and Asia Pacific. And please engage with the regional commissions in the forthcoming regional reviews on MIPA, which are forthcoming. Please engage on any discussions regarding a convention. And I also would like to remind us here that the cross-regional experiences are wonderful. I think we can learn a lot from each other. And I will clearly talk to my regional commissions colleagues to do something like this also in the lead up to MIPA. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. And thank you for the organizers to provide this platform for this discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabine. Rosalind.
Thank you very much. As we move to deliver the social development common agenda, let's see it that it will not be complete when we do not deliver dignity across the generations, so that the right to ensure that the rights of our older people is not about charity going forward, but it's just about justice, equality, and participation. And they are the measure of whether our society truly values every life at every stage. So from universal health coverage to social protection, from care system to climate resilience, we must build social policies that are fit for an aging world and rooted on solidarity, inclusion, and rights. The future we want is one where care is recognized as an essential infrastructure, as I had mentioned, the full continuum of care, so that where every person, young, old, or one with disability or not, can live and contribute and age with dignity. That is how Africa and Asia will lead the world from promise to progress, by empowering every generation and leaving no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalind. Aisha.
All right. So the world is changing all around us, and it's easy to see and hear around us all the negative things, the anxiety around AI and technology and older people being left behind, and the rise in conflicts, etc. But I think we have a responsibility to actually be the voices that bring optimism and say, even in spite of all the changes we see around us that may not be favorable, we can do something. And I think when you're optimistic, it's easier for you to be creative, and so leveraging data, leveraging information, learning from other parts of the world. So this, for me, is really valuable, listening to others and their experience from different parts of the world. This is the time to actually really learn from each other and keep doing, because the world is not going to stop changing. Some of the mess we see is just going to get worse. But even in spite of that, we need to be intentional in still serving as voices for senior citizens, intergenerational relationships, inclusion, the rights of older persons, etc. What we do is important, and we can take that for granted. Thank you very much. I look forward to more collaboration.
Thank you, Aisha. Opa.
Thank you so much. This has been truly an inspiring webinar. Reminded of the song Michael Jackson, "Heal the World, Make It a Better Place." And what better way that we could actually conclude this by reminding ourselves of the responsibility and the role that we have to make our world a better place for both youth and the adults that continue make this, a livable environment. And allow me to finish off with these two statements that say we cannot make a real impact unless we are willing to change the way we perceive the world. Both youth and adults have the power to drive change, and together we can create lasting social transformation. And lastly, true impact begins when we shift our perceptions of the world, and both youth and adults alike can be agents of change, shaping society that works for everyone. And with those few words, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Opa. And Isaac, did you want to say a few words?
Yes, thank you so much. And it's gratifying that I am the last person to make a speech. And we have used this term lots of time, intergenerational partnership, and it must bring us benefits. The benefits should impact society. And for me, I see that we should also put the focus on the young people. We know the cultures are different. Our days, the culture was that you take time to nurture your experience. You take time to nurture your growth. But now the present youth, they are in the fast lane. They want to do it quickly. And there are a lot of pitfalls when you do that. And so we, as we progress, and as we put the focus on the elderly persons or the senior citizens, let's at the same time take time to inculcate in the youth, in the young people, the act of being responsible. And when they do that, then they can listen to us when we speak. Then we'll both move at the same pace and develop our environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isaac. And thank you to all of our speakers and presenters. As you see, with all the hands clapping, the comments about collaboration, and thanking you for all the great information, insights, and stories that you share, it's been a really valuable experience. I want to thank also our participants for being here today from different time zones, and as well as our promotional sponsors who's really standing with us in terms of this effort to say that, we want to have this conversation across regions. What we heard today remind us that social development thrives when it's intergenerational and human rights focused, when every generation, every voice, every community is included. So let's carry forward with our spirit of collaboration and share learning that we've built today, and keep turning ideas into action so that together we'll shape a world that's just, inclusive, sustainable for people of all ages everywhere. So thank you so much again for everyone, and thank you for extending time, and thank you, Isaac, for helping us to manage everything behind the scene. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you.